Hello everyone, ProjectPro Joe here. Today we're going to discuss project cash flow. Let's kick things off with the project setup. In the project setup, we can enable a cash flow module and define a workflow number series. Then, we'll set up the various cash flow categories that you want to report revenue and expenses on. You can have as many categories as you wish. And then, you'll define which specific ones you'll use for a given project. From there, we'll move over to the project side and open up Project 170, which has a couple of change orders associated with it. In the project card's lower section, you'll find the option to activate the cash flow for this specific project. This is also where you can define your default payment terms for both revenue and expense. For cash flow projections, if we're invoicing a certain amount any given month, we anticipate receiving payments 30 days later. Similarly, if we're incurring some expenses, we expect to pay those 30 days afterward. The next step under cash flow is setting up which cash flow categories we're using for this particular project. In this case, we're utilizing all three, but it's not mandatory to use every category for every project. We define which categories are applicable. Then we'll head to the project planning lines. Here, we'll identify which categories these expenses and revenues belong to. For example, these might be mobilization expenses. Those might be related to foundation expenses, and so on. After we've completed that, we can move on to our cash flow. I've already set up a cash flow for this project. It's currently the active one, spanning from March to March, a 12-month cash flow. From here, we'll navigate to the cash flow worksheet. In the cash flow worksheet, we need to total all costs from the planning lines that are associated with mobilization. This includes land clearing and foundation costs. Then we determine how to spread these costs over the period. For instance, I've allocated $50,000 for the first 2 months, then 3, and it increases to $75 with the balance in this month. Land clearing, however, starts later but finishes earlier, and so forth. We're essentially instructing the system on how we expect revenue to unfold across these 12 months throughout the project. We apply a similar approach to expenses. For expenses, we determine how they will be distributed across various months, where we anticipate incurring them. For payroll, anything within the project that uses a payroll-type resource will be summed up here. Again, we get to distribute these across the periods based on how we envision payroll playing out over the months. Once we've inputted the figures, we'll see the total project expectations below. For instance, $50,000 in the first month, then $125,000 in another month, $130,000 the next, and so on. This represents the monthly amounts, and the accumulation will display the accumulated figures. For example, 50 plus 125 equals 175, and so forth throughout the project's lifespan. The projected cash flow in is essentially what we expect to receive based on the aging. We're invoicing for $50,000, but we won't collect it until that month. These figures then distribute across both monthly amounts and the accumulations based on the aging for both revenue and expenses. If we open the cash flow worksheet, we'll see the net results. We might notice a negative cash position in the first 2 months, but it turns positive by the 3rd month and continues positively. Additionally, the actuals start to build here. As we invoice and encounter expenses, the actuals accumulate, allowing us to monitor our progress against the projection. We also have the option to run analytics, offering graphs and charts that depict cash flow projections, accumulated projected bills in, accumulated projected out, and more in a visual format. And that's a high-level overview of project cash flow. See you on the job site.